There's a bigger issue here. Just because a group of people belong to the Federation, it does not mean that they are saints. The trouble is Earth. On Earth, there is no poverty, no crime, no war. You look out the window of Starfleet headquarters and you see paradise. Well, it's easy to be a saint in paradise. Out there, all the problems haven't been solved yet. Out there are no saints, just people. Angry, scared, determined people who are going to do whatever it takes to survive.
What I want to know is, out of all the stories you told me, which ones were true and which ones weren't?
My dear doctor, they're all true.
Even the lies?
Especially the lies.
On behalf of the Bajoran government
And the Promenade Merchants Association,
I officially welcome you to Deep Space Nine.
Welcome back to Especially the Lies, a Deep Space Nine podcast. We have hit the end of Season 2.
Woo!
We are here for our discussion of the Season 2 finale, the Jem'Hadar. Thank God we made it through this season. It has been an interesting season. For those who are new to this show, the way this generally works is we are a group of longtime Star Trek fans, and we have somehow managed to yet again convince a group of our friends to watch a 30-year-old sci-fi show about a space station and talk about it on a weekly basis with all of you. How we've done this twice with our friends, I don't know. The fact that some of them still speak to us is amazing, but here we are. And generally what we're going to do is we will have a first impressions, have some discussion, then we will throw all of our first-time viewers out and answer any of their questions, predictions, make fun of them relentlessly for their commentary on the episode or whatever else moves us when we go through the wormhole and chat with the prophets. My name is Blake, and with me is...
Chris.
Emily.
Christopher.
Nicole.
Jessi.
And Mike.
Love it.
You two have such a lovely
God damn it.
interaction.
Like, I signed on and she started shit with me right away tonight. I want everybody witnessed it.
Nobody.
Well, I'm not going to lie. As I mentioned before we started, I just finished the recording of the Collaborator. You may or may not have caught a couple strays in that one from Jessi as well.
Oh, I bet.
Jessica.
That's what you get when you miss the recording, apparently.
It's gonna be the only episode of our podcast I actually listen to now.
I will say Prentice was not there for that one and is not with us on this either. The time we're recording this, a good chunk of the country is being affected by winter weather. Prentice has no power this evening, so he is not able to join for the recording. So we'll see what happens with that one. But let's go ahead and get into this. And our resident synopsis expert, for better or for worse, who's already been drinking, has the synopsis for the Jem'Hadar. Christopher.
Jake and Nog go on a field trip and start a galactic war.
Simple and sweet. You gotta love it.
Okay. Well, that sums that up. So let's go ahead and jump in and get some first impressions. And we're going to start with our first-time viewers. And let's go ahead and start with Chris.
Okay, so Season 2, there have been some good episodes. There have been a few really good episodes. This is the first episode of DS9 that when it was done, I actually felt like, hold on, no, I got to watch another one. I got to see what happens next. So, needless to say, I really enjoyed this episode. It felt like there were real stakes, and not just because Sisko was in the crosshairs this time and all that, but it felt like because they were actually getting into some type of substance of a story, some type of substance within the story, and not just for this episode. Like this, well, the things that were happening in this episode were opening. It was world building and opening doors to so many other things that I felt like they just had to touch on again. So it was that first feeling of, okay, now we're really getting into the shit. Like now it's really going down. I still think if Sisko isn't being stern or serious, like the loving dad thing, it's not landing with me. It doesn't feel natural. But, he's trying to be a good dad, whatever. So anyways, good episode. I thought it was funny how Quark was pulling out the species card to try to get his way on when Sisko talking about, so you you look down on Ferengis? You think humans are better than Ferengis? To try to get it on the field trip. Yeah, that was funny. And then I also thought it was funny how when Shorty popped up, I can't remember her name, and she popped up in the woods, there was just no explanation. She immediately shot the black guy. She didn't go for the alien. She said she was spooked because the Jem'Hadar were chasing her, and she thought if I felt like she was trying to make it sound like she thought he was one of them. She's like, "You're not with the Jem'Hadar." It's like he looks nothing like them. They're lizard people. He's just a black dude chilling in the woods with his homie, and you telekinesis blast him on sight, no questions. So
no, they were both aliens to her.
So what you're saying is she's an ICE agent.
Yeah. She was playing the role of ICE agent in that one.
Oh, no.
That's a good point, Mike. To her, she
Too
was
real. Too real.
To her, they were both aliens. That's a good point. But I really liked the episode, though. I thought it was funny also when what was the captain of the ship? What was his name? The one who came.
The Enterprise.
Yeah,
Keo.
Yeah, Captain Keo.
When Captain Keo was like, they're like, "We're gonna come with you to save Sisko," and he was like, "Yo, chill. Like y'all ain't been in shit. Y'all ain't about shit. Fall back. Let the adults handle this one."
And he died.
And then Julian was like, "Well, we battled the Maquis," and he was like, "Ha, the Maquis. That's funny.
That's cute."
Right. I thought that was a funny part, but I really did enjoy this episode, though.
Nicole, your first impressions.
I also really like this episode. I think this might have been my favorite episode of the entire season, to be honest. I can't believe that we are at the end of season 2. It was long to get here, but it came up quick at the same time. Like I just was like, oh, this is the last episode. Okay. So it's good to know that bugs and humidity still suck even in the future and even on alien planets because they suck here too, and they suck now. So that is a good theme to make sure we get out there. I kind of enjoyed Quark bitching about that. It was really funny. I do think that the minute that pointy-eared Eris bitch showed up, my shady count was up. I was like, I don't like this girl. First of all, she throws some kind of orbit Sisko out of nowhere. And then at the end, with the twist of her being like a shady bitch, I was like, I knew it. So I was very proud of myself that I caught on to that. Overall, when the Jem'Hadar showed up, I like how you call them lizard people, Chris, because I wrote down ugly motherfuckers and I thought, there's got to be a better way to describe them. So we're going to go lizard people. What was his name? Tellin? That guy was a dick, by the way. He just rolls up to DS9, teleports his ass on there, talks shit, and then, if I'm not mistaken, says that they killed the entire Bajoran community in the Gamma Quadrant, and then it was like, peace, bitch, I'm out. Like, what the fuck? That was wild, and clearly their technology is way more advanced than DS9's was, so that was concerning. But yeah, I like how everybody went to go save Sisko, and ironically, the guy who talked shit about how, oh, you guys can't handle it. Well, him and all his people died, and all the DS9 people didn't. So it was kind of ironic, I thought. Kind of like, ooh, you kind of alluded to something there, bud. But I did really enjoy Quark and Sisko bonding a little bit towards the end, and Sisko wasn't going to leave him there. And even though that alien bitch was like, oh, just leave him or whatever. So I did like that. I thought Jake and Nog were really funny, trying to figure out how to fly the runabout, trying to like take stuff apart and getting alarms going off. I don't want to say it was kind of cute and kind of a little bit of a lighter dynamic in the middle of a heavier episode. So I appreciated that. And yeah, I did like how Sisko didn't back down to the lizard guy either. He was like in his face, like, bet, motherfucker. Like he just didn't back down, and he knew, like, I'm getting out of this shit and I'm getting out of here. So I appreciated that, like kind of seeing him stand his ground, and I'm glad it worked out to get them back all safely. But I am curious now what's going to happen with these, what are they called? The Dominion? Yeah. And find out what's next with that, because I feel like that's going to be some shit and I want to know what's next. So I was with you. I wanted to watch the next episode. I'm like, oh my God. So yeah, this is the first episode of this season that really got me excited about the next one. So really good one.
Let's go to our queen of hot takes for her first impression, Jessi.
Let's fucking go. I loved this one. I had a Signs and Portraits moment when I was like, yes, let's fucking get it. We had traitors. We had traitors with titty lasers. Like, loved that. We had ugly ass fucking aliens. I've not seen, like, just when I think they can't get uglier, they do. And they did. We had Quark handing Sisko his ass. Loved the, oh, you think you're better than me? Well, I don't have slavery and I don't have internment camps. And Sisko didn't even have anything to say about it. We got a sexy look from Sisko. It's the first time in the entire 2 seasons that I've been like, oh, hello, when he was talking to the girl. We had drama. We had kids trying to drive fucking runabouts. It was good. I loved it. And Jake's line about it's easier to take apart than it is to put back together, that's literally sums up my entire life. Like, I can rip it apart and tear it up, and don't ask me to put it back together because I've still got pieces left over. No, I loved it. I loved it, and I'm excited. And I think if Scott was here, he would probably tell you, I told you so, but he's not, so he can't say that. And yeah, it was my jam. I loved it.
Note to Blake, go through old audio, find Scott saying, I told you so, because God fucking knows we
There's
have
enough of
Oh,
that.
it's there somewhere.
Oh,
spades.
yes.
We will find one of them.
Yeah.
But we will never admit that he was right. That we just can't do that. That's
no.
Nope. And Christopher, your first impressions.
I enjoyed this episode. I thought it was good. I didn't enjoy it as much as everyone else seemed to.
You clearly missed the titty lasers then.
Yeah. Didn't get your tuna juice flowing?
Yeah.
Titty lasers.
Missed that part completely. An orb shooting out of somebody's chest. Okay. Like, she's telepathic. Who cares? The interactions between Jake and Sisko, as always, were good, as were the interactions between Sisko and Quark. I really like when they can play Quark off as somebody else, because that's when both of those characters really seem to shine. This seemed almost like a screwball comedy that was trying to be a drama, right? Because you had so much of the Jake and Nog thing I enjoyed, and I thought it was probably the most enjoyable part of the episode for me, their interaction. But with the episode ending as heavily as it did, it just seemed out of place. But it was a good episode. I enjoyed it. I do want to go on and see what happens next. So in that part, they got me. Like, I want to know how this war shapes out. Let's go.
Yeah, fuck the Dominion. Hashtag Federation. I would really like to stop saying hashtag at some point in the next fucking 5 seconds.
And let's switch over to our longtime viewers, and let's start with Jessi's favorite target, Mike.
Get him.
This is a great episode.
Tuna juices.
We'll talk about it during the recap, I'm sure, but like between Blood Oath, which was the previous high of the season for me, this is a really, really good one, and I'm not sure which is my favorite. What I will say is Blood Oath kind of lives in a bottle, and much like what Chris said to start us off, like this is maybe the first time since we started the DS9 rewatch that like I finished this episode and I was like had to forcibly put the remote down and not like go to the next one. I'm very excited to start season 3 now as a result, because this ends on such a chilling note, and I think it lands, for me at least, much heavier because of the sort of dysfunction that Christopher talked about, or the sort of dichotomy of like the beginning of it is like a goofy buddy cop movie that ends on like such a heavy note, a heavy boot drops, and we'll get into it more. But yeah, I loved it.
Emily.
I like it. I think it's a really good way to end a season, because you are left like, oh, now I want to see where they take this storyline. And I do appreciate that we had Nog. We haven't seen Nog in so long, and he's just fun to watch. And of course, you have the Quark aspect when he's freaking out, and Eris is like, are you going to tell him to shut up? And Sisko's like, he's hard to ignore, which is very true.
Mm-hmm.
The squeaky wheel gets the grease, or whatever that stupid saying is. Someone's going to get annoyed and try to come deal with him. But I think it was a great way to end the season. And from a Star Trek perspective, they have introduced a couple species who seem to have more advanced tech than anything they've seen yet. So I think that's a really interesting thing to pull in when you're ending a season, trying to draw people into the next one.
I agree. This is probably one of my favorite episodes overall, not just of season 2. And I've talked about it all along that there's been a shift in the production and behind the scenes. This is actually the first show or the last show that Michael Piller is in charge of the writing. And Ira Stephen Bear officially takes over as the head of writing and essentially becomes the total showrunner with this episode going forward. And we've talked about that all along through the series, that there's going to be a point where there's a shift in tone, there's a shift in not so much direction. There's been bits and pieces throughout, but there's a definite shift in the show, and it really starts here with this season 2 finale. And I really like the way it was written. I think the comedic pieces work well with the serious, but also the part and the statement it makes, it just kind of puts the exclamation point on it that this is not Star Trek that has come before. For our new viewers, the ship, the Odyssey, is the same type of ship that was the Enterprise D in all 7 years of Star Trek The Next Generation. This ship was the badass of the galaxy, even though it looked like the intergalactic Hilton. This ship squared off against the Klingons, it squared off against Q, the Borg, the Romulans, basically all of the badasses of the Quadrant. The Enterprise D faced off against and always came home at the end of the day. This episode takes that ship and absolutely brings it to its knees with one strike. And they did that one to add weight to the Jem'Hadar of these people ain't fucking around, but it made that point of this is not Star Trek that has come before. We are writing a new playbook, and it started here. And so for those reasons, I just absolutely love this episode. I love what it marks in the series for going forward. And I think we'll get into more as we go through the discussion, which, Nicole, I see you're ready to jump in.
Yes, I had 2 points. One was a very small thing I forgot to bring up in my first impressions. Just one tiny thing, and I want to see if anyone else saw it. Was it just me, or did Kira and Odo have like a little moment?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
I said,
I'm not crazy.
see,
I was like,
I knew he loved her.
Yep,
It's official, Nicole has shipped something this episode.
Yes. Okay, I'm excited. Okay, good.
There's our Nicole.
Yes, I'm glad I'm not crazy. And good.
Well,
yeah. So the thing I was going to bring up, though, other than that, besides that, was I thought it was really concerning that, was his name Talon, the commander? Talon. Yeah. So that guy, that dickhead, he knew a lot about the other side of the wormhole. Like, he knew about the treaty with the Cardassians. He was like, oh, I'm sad you're not a Klingon, and I want to meet the Klingon and all this other stuff. And I thought it was really concerning that he knew all this stuff. How the hell did he know? And he must have really like done his research or something, because but I guess it makes sense though at the end when he kind of comes over to DS9 and he says, oh yeah, we've learned this from all these other people that have come over. And basically what it seems to me is they probably extorted all the information they could have got out of them and then killed them, like with all the Bajorans and the new Bajoran compound or whatever. So
I'm going to throw this out there in response to that, Nicole, because one of the complaints that's been brought up, especially from some of our newbies on the show, is a lack of serialization in the show. And I've made the comment multiple times, is there a lack of serialization, or are you just missing the pieces?
Yeah.
Because keep in mind, there have been, I mean, we had the whole episode where Quark was negotiating about Tullaberry wine and was negotiating with the Dominion. We've had the Skria that came through the wormhole earlier this episode talking about their homeworld were destroyed. It was never in the episode, but the writing notes was the implication was their homeworld was destroyed by the Dominion. So you had people coming through the wormhole. So information being back, it's been there the whole time.
Yeah. And it was kind of an epiphany of like all the things that we have already seen. Like, oh, it kind of like tied everything back to them in a way. So I did think that was really interesting. But he really did know a lot about what was going on with the Federation and stuff. And I was just like, ooh, this is problematic.
Chris?
Talad had a thing for the Klingons. Like, it was like, dude, just they don't even know who you are. Chill. But he was going hard, like, tell me about him, tell me about him, tell me about him. So I'm wondering if that showdown, maybe I should say that for the end for predictions and questions or whatever. Yeah, no, I also thought Jessi had mentioned Sisko. Was I the one who noticed that Sisko had his chest meat out in this episode?
Sure
Came in
did.
there with the low plunging V-neck on the on the vacation get up. I get that they were dropping breadcrumbs throughout the whole season, but I still feel like all the episodes were really more just one-off type of things. more like an anthology, a Star Trek anthology, as opposed to an actual serialized show. But I guess that is a good point that they did drop things here and there that kind of all led up to it. If you paid attention, tied into what happened. But
which for 30 years ago was still not how things generally operated.
yeah, that's a good point. That's very true. But I think the reason why I've said it before on previous episodes was because I sensed you all know I'm a big, huge fan of world building. I mean, it's what I do at Creative Extreme and our universe and all that kind of stuff. So I love the world building aspects of the show, but I was waiting for it to kind of take on the heavier tone and for it to actually start building on top of each other to lead to something bigger. And this is the episode I've been waiting for. So I think I've seen that it can go there, but it just never went there until this episode, at least for me. So that's what I think really why this episode really resonated with me so much. And then also, Nicole, you aren't crazy. I did peep that too. It's like Odo really is trying to slide Kira that shapeshifter D. And I just don't think she is either aware of it or if she's ready for it. But yeah, I think it might go down in season 3. Hopefully my guy Odo gets some play because he's been kind of out there on his own dolo. It's time for him to get some action.
Do we miss it in The Collaborator where Odo was clearly like in love with Kira, right? Like I think they've hinted at that in the past, along with dropping other things, other hints. I don't know. To me, that was just obvious. Again, them having a moment, I think, is just a further continuation of that.
That was what was more striking to me, is that Kira reciprocated that moment, is what I noticed. We all know he's in love with her, right? But she kind of was like, keep your head down. Out. Like, I thought they had a moment together. Like, it wasn't one-sided like it's always been. And that, to me, was like, oh, maybe Kira does care about him a little bit. Who knows? You know what I mean? But I really hope that that is the case, because I just thought it was really endearing.
And maybe this says something more about me, but like it's been clear since like early season 1 when they had a couple moments where like they have some kind of a closeness, like a relationship, but I have not seen anything that has screamed romantic to me yet. Just like I don't know. I guess you guys are seeing it and I'm not, but
I'm always looking out for love. I'm noticing things all the time.
Even when they're not there.
Listen, that's the hopeless romantic in me.
Star Trek meets Hallmark.
Yeah, I don't think I noticed anything before The Collaborator. I think at that scene in his office when he was telling Kira that it's obvious that she's in love with Bird Chest, whatever his name was. I can't remember his name. That guy. Yeah, yeah. That then she was like, kind of like, what? And he was like, you humans are so funny. I think that was the first time I really kind of noticed it, but I don't know. Maybe I wasn't paying attention either.
I just think it's something that's been there kind of in the background that they hint at, and like some of the other things that have been building, like there's subtle mentions, and unless you're really looking to connect pieces, I don't think you would have seen it.
Nicole,
did anyone else think it was really funny that Quark calls humans humans? Like, I was like, I don't know. Have I just never noticed that before? But he's like, yeah, humans.
He says it all the time.
I never noticed it until this episode. I was like, humans, what?
I think that's something that even carried over from TNG,
it did.
The other series. Whenever you met Klingon or the Ferengi, that's one of their trademarks, it seems like, is to always mispronounce and kind of say it with an air of disgust.
Yeah, I thought that was funny. But he did.
Isn't the air of disgust a little bit earned from...
Oh, I'm going to start doing it too.
Yeah.
Right, from Quark's speech. I mean, he's absolutely right. You know, we're greedy. We have a terrible history with how we treat people. We're continuing it right now with how we treat people. So when Sisko looks down on Quark because he's a greedy capitalist, he doesn't really have a leg to stand on with how shit humans can be. And we're seeing it this week, how shit we can actually be. And Star Trek does this so great where they exploit the flaws of humanity and they give them to the aliens so many times. And we see how bad that part of this is. We see ourselves in these aliens and we're like, oh, fuck. This is terrible. these other creatures are terrible. No, it's us. They're
Yeah.
holding a mirror up to us. But we don't look at it that way when we're watching the show because humanity has evolved, and it goes back to Sisko's speech that on Earth being a paradise and we evolved into a utopia. I don't think we're ever gonna fucking get there. And
well, he straight up handed Sisko his ass.
He did, and it was absolutely deserved.
So one thing with that speech from Quark is, as Mike kind of mentioned, the Ferengi came over from the Next Generation, and when they were conceived of for Star Trek: The Next Generation, the idea was they were going to become like the new Klingons, the new big bad of Star Trek: The Next Generation, and instead it never landed. They were too comical, it just didn't land. And Ira Stephen Bear commented on this episode that going into this, that he really wanted to put to rest this kind of idea that the Ferengi were just the failed villains of Star Trek and wanted people to get a different impression. And so the idea was to have Quark make this statement and Sisko not necessarily being fully convinced by it, but having enough pause to take what he was saying seriously and change the dynamic of the Ferengi within the Star Trek universe. I will note, and spoiler for another series, they tried the same goddamn thing with Star Trek Voyager when they thought they were going to make the Kazon the new Klingons, and that didn't fucking work either. Just don't try to replace the Klingon Star Trek. It never works. Hell, well, Jesus Christ, Discovery tried it too when they rebooted the Klingons into whatever the fuck was at the start of season 1. So there's a long history of this, and now Jessi's pissed because I'm quoting other series.
No, I was just going to watch them, and now you've ruined them, and now I'm not going to. So there we go.
You weren't going to watch them.
That's 100% the truth.
She'll watch some TOS for some Kirk, but...
Can we watch the new one?
No.
Mm-mm.
Wonderful. Babylon 5 all over again.
Later, just not now.
You can go watch Crusade now. And then record a podcast about it by yourself because I'm not watching that shit.
Yeah, I ain't watching that either.
It's fair.
Chris.
Real quick, so the pronunciation of human, Quark saying human. I don't know if you guys remember the show called Paranormal State with the college kids from Penn State who had the paranormal detective agency or whatever. It reminds me of the episode where they somehow had this device that could translate static energy or static electricity into actual words when they were going through haunted houses. And they were going through this house and they had the device and they kept hearing this static glitch or whatever. And the machine translated it to demon, but it didn't say demon. It was like demon, demon, demon. That's what Quark sounds like whenever he says human. Anyway.
So a Jamaican voice or what?
It's just bad AI. Have you ever listened to like something that's clearly AI and they totally mispronounce the word and you just
Yeah, I get the robocalls like trying to get me to renew my car warranty or my warranty.
Warranty.
So in the episode, Quark kept saying humanoid, but would other alien species describe themselves as humanoid? I don't feel like they would.
No.
That was kind of weird to me. I was like, wait a minute, why do they keep saying humanoid? Like they wouldn't use that term, I don't think.
It's just the way the magic universal translator does it. We'll just chalk it up to that because they look Ferenganoid to me.
That's not exclusive to Star Trek, though. A lot of times in sci-fi, they refer to species as humanoid because they share characteristics. Versus, I'm trying to think, and I can't remember but there's Starship Troopers. It was humanoids and insectoids.
Yeah, but isn't it usually humans describing other species as being humanoid, not other alien species calling themselves humanoid?
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Miracle of writing and translators. Mike, you got your hand up.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, the way this episode ends is such a massive mic drop. And, like, I definitely want to talk more about that. But before we kind of get to that, I want to point out, I guess, some things that I really appreciated about the first half of the episode. And it's that sort of odd couple pairing that Christopher mentioned. I thought this was really cool and really clever for a couple of different reasons. We started off revisiting Jake and his dad and their relationship. Jake's dad trying to get away get that precious time alone with his adolescent son to do some bonding because he's a busy guy and his son's a busy kid and they don't see each other enough, right? And it's really sweet. And they also, I thought, really cleverly circle back to the fact that Nog is not only Jake's best friend, but there's still that kind of tension between the races, right? Between Nog's dad and like, oh man, Jake's looking out for Nog. He's got to help him in school because if he doesn't, his dad's going to pull him out. And we saw that, God, like at the beginning of season 2, there was an episode or two basically about that, where we learned that Jake was teaching Nog to read. And like, I just thought that was really cool, a really good callback to kind of throw that in. And it's perfect setup to then kind of cleverly loop Quark into the episode and do this odd couple pairing of those two guys, like Captain Sisko and Quark going to go on a camping trip together. What could go wrong? Like, it's funny. It's two characters that really shouldn't have that much screen time together and probably rarely ever do throughout the series. This isn't a spoiler because I honestly don't remember. I'm just saying you haven't seen those two together very often up to this point. So it's an excuse to throw them together into a confined space and let them play off of one another. And it turns out brilliant because they also go back to that kind of familiar through line that we've seen a bunch in season 2, where it's other races kind of holding that mirror up to humanity and humanity's ideals and the Federation's ideals and kind of being like, yeah, maybe your way is not the right way. The Bajorans argued that the Federation could very well come in overbearing and oppressive just like the Cardassians were. The Cardassians, through Garrick, kind of pointed out like, well, you're judging my culture, but you have no business, or my values, and you have no business doing that. That's a very human way to read my book and tell me it doesn't make sense to you. And now, for probably the second time, we got that kind of angle from the Ferengi, where usually it's Dax that does the arguing on behalf of the Ferengi. This time, it's Quark speaking up for his own people and their values and their culture and the fact that others are looking down on them. Frankly, if we went back and rewatched some of the Dax episodes, I bet there's probably something to be said for Dax speaking about how people view Trills as well. So again, it's like a second kind of callback to something that we've seen throughout the rest of the episode. So I like the first half of it, for being somewhat comedic, it also has a bit of bite to it, I think.
Jessi.
I thought that part was brilliant, and I'm sorry I missed a little bit, so I don't know if you guys have already talked about this, but I thought it was brilliant because we, and I will speak for people on our side of the pond, tend to turn our nose up at other individuals who have different concepts of what is right or how things are supposed to be done, just using like people who wear hijabs as one. I always saw them as oppressed, and this is previously before I was woke, I just would always see them as oppressed and like they have no rights and they this, that, and the other. And somebody finally said to me, what do you think about them thinking the same about you, where you think it's okay to sexualize yourself by wearing a tank top or your hair down or makeup or blah, blah, blah. Well, not makeup because they wear makeup too, but it's definitely eye-opening to see when you're so close-minded and you're thinking about other people and how they do what they do, you should probably just stop. And like, you should just probably not judge them based on things that you know nothing about. And I thought the whole scene was brilliant, or well, the line that he had was brilliant because he's like, you look down on me, but you guys did this, this, and this, and we haven't done any of that. So you guys are very similar to us in that manner. Plus, you guys like to imprison humans. So I found it very enjoyable.
I thought it was a good note from Quark as well, because it's the fact that Quark isn't this like greedy little sniveling whatever shitbag. Like he's pretty learned, isn't he? Like he knows a lot about human history. Like he didn't come at that like a dummy or anything. He defended himself and he did it very well.
Mm-hmm. And he saved the day. Like if he's such a terrible person, he didn't have to say anything at the end of the episode. He could have just let her snitch and do all the things like spy and everything, and he stepped up and used some morals somewhere. So I think they just have different values than everybody else, and it's based heavily on money, and I can't think of anybody else that is like that. So it's Christopher. I'm talking about Christopher.
Christopher, you had a hand up at one.
I did, and what I was trying to say, I mean, it's been pretty well covered. But to
That was a lot of words to say, Jessi. You summed it up perfectly. I loved it.
Yeah.
Except
I
he's
think it
never
was
going to
funny.
admit that to you.
Not after she divorced me.
Oh, there it is. Divorce number 1. I'm on 7 now.
I watched this episode with my wife, and speaking of Quark and Nog, she was disgusted at the high-pitched screeching that they were
Agreed.
doing whenever they were in danger. She could not take it. Just thought that was funny.
Nicole.
I will say, I do think that it kind of gave us a little bit more insight into Quark too, in a way, because obviously we know rules of acquisition. He's always out to make a buck, this and that. But like Jessi said, like he could have just let it go at the end and let her spy and this and that. But I mean, I feel like maybe Quark isn't as bad on the like inherently bad in a way. Like he's got more morals and more of a stand-up, I guess, stand-up alien than we think. You know what I mean? And it's shown a little bit before, like where he's done decent things here and there, or whatever. But like, I think of what Dax says a lot about how, listen, you just have to accept that he is who he is. And once you do, you can enjoy his company and understand that that's who he is. And I feel like two things can be true at once. He can be money hungry and all about that, but he can also have some sort of moral compass and actually care about people. And like, I genuinely think he cares about Nog, and I genuinely think he wants to be friends. Because he even said to Odo, he's like, was it Odo? He's like, oh, well, Kira's the only one who hates me, not Sisko. And he's like, Sisko hates you too. He's like, no, he doesn't. Well, he won't now. So he actually is concerned about, like, he wants them to like him. He wants them to accept him. And I feel like if he was all bad and all shithead, he wouldn't care about that.
Jessi.
I think also that they don't really hate him. Like everybody acts like they hate him, but then they say things like, someday I'll just let him go, but today isn't the day. I think they tolerate him. I, on the other hand, thoroughly do not enjoy the Jake and Nog duo. Like, I'm with Chris's wife. I can't stand, I couldn't, like, it was driving me crazy to hear Nog be such a little bitch when he got scared. Like, stop screaming. Like, relax. I know that not everybody has the fight or flight gene. Like, Hughes wants to fight. He doesn't want to fight at all. And that's, Quark even said the first sign of danger, he's going to find the darkest hole and crawl into it. So maybe that is a common theme amongst their people, but stop screaming. And I was thoroughly annoyed the entire time that I saw those two. Like Christopher said at the beginning, like that was his favorite part. Like that is my least favorite part of every episode is those two. I'm like unimpressed when I see them together.
Well, not everyone can have your balls.
They're huge.
I was going to say, I mean, we've definitely heard Quark do the same high-pitched Ferengi squeal a lot.
Yeah.
So, and I'm pretty sure we've heard Rom do it too. So
yeah, it's very much a Ferengi thing.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's not, because I'm going to be perfectly honest. When I was working in my backyard doing the landscaping and found the snake, I made a very similar goddamn sound before my fucking ass ran back into the goddamn house.
There's a time and a place, okay? Listen.
And that was it.
You get a wasp around me, I will tell 6'2" Mike to shut the fuck up every day of the week. But you get a wasp around me, and I'm gonna scream like a little girl.
That's some bullshit. I will punch every wasp in the face.
So, Mike, what you need to do is get some trained wasp to keep around you to stay safe.
Shit.
Some pocket wasps.
Christopher, go ahead.
So what I was going to say, building on what Nicole was saying, was that they've shown a few times that Ferengis have a set of morals, but they do constantly kind of get looked down upon by the Federation, right? And that's another reflection in the mirror of humanity, is that we're always seeing something that we're going to look down upon you, right? If you're not perfect, we're gonna find that flaw, and we're just gonna, oh, you're greedy, you're cowardly, you're this. You can't ever do anything right. And Quark doesn't go out of his way to like highlight what he is doing. He's not going out to get platitudes for feeding the Bajorans. He's not going out and trying to get platitudes for figuring out that the collar around her neck was useless and it didn't work, and that there was something off about her that just didn't add up. But they just hate him because he's capitalistic, right? And humanity has moved beyond money, and they can't seem to figure out that maybe.
Oh,
Hey!
Hey! My God. What a day. What a day.
Prentice, welcome to the show.
All right. Did we reveal any tantalizing details today or talk about some way out there subject that's going to get us banned from some kind of network in the near future?
Titty lasers.
Are you frozen? Are you good?
I'm good. I barely made it out alive. But yeah, it's been a crazy day. Power outage, near-death experience last night coming down Lakeshore Drive where somebody was driving northbound in the southbound lane of Lakeshore Drive, and I was looking death straight in my eye until the guy veered off into the embankment at the last second. So it's been
oh my God.
24 hours.
Glad you're okay, but don't they do
Damn.
that every day? I thought that was a thing.
What did you say, what?
I said, I'm glad you're okay, but don't they do that every day? I thought that was a Chicago thing.
Not at Lakeshore
Normally
Drive.
they stay in their lane.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's not
that.
even easy to do.
No.
To go the wrong way down.
Lakeshore, yeah.
Mike,
Yeah.
that's my point. I'm like, how do you drive in the southbound lane or northbound? Like,
I don't know, man.
This is how you do it.
Yeah.
Chris, that's right. It has to be that.
Yeah.
You're smoking crack, fentanyl, or something to do something crazy like that. But anyway, we don't crack shame around here. So what did I miss?
Titty
Well,
lasers.
yeah, Jessi basically described seeing titty lasers.
Yep.
We've talked about high-pitched squeals from Ferengi.
And I've been defending the fucking capitalistic Reaganite Ferengi like the entire episode, and I don't like it. I
Right.
feel dirty.
Christopher feels dirty.
Oh my God.
Which brings me,
How about we get your first impressions on the Jem'Hadar as an episode?
You know, looking at it for the umpteenth time, it was a decent episode. You know, you feel like it's the beginning of something, and it makes it interesting. I think we've been missing a real protagonist. The Kardashians are the Nazis, we know that, but they're known. But the Jem'Hadar is mysterious. We don't know who they are and what their motives are. So I think it opens up a kind of new possibility for the show. So that's what I love about it.
And
Let's
Jessi's
fucking
already wanting to jump in, so brace
So-
yourself. She's Jessi tonight.
because I started my first impressions off with let's fucking go. I'm ready for it. But no, this is to Christopher's point. Let's not give this dude too much credit because in this episode, we watched him tell somebody, I'm more than your bartender. I'm your friend. Tell me all your problems. Hold, please. Did you get my request
yeah.
to go and sell my shit all over? Like,
Absolutely left Morn hanging, right?
And he looked so sad when he walked
Yeah.
away
He did.
too. I was like, oh
Yeah, he
no.
He's
Morn
a
was
terrible friend.
and then he stopped. And so,
He's a-
like, listen, yes, we need to not look down on him, but let's not give him too much credit as to the real profit-driven being that he is.
I agree.
Don't agree with me.
What I'm trying to say is that they look past the good that he does,
Sure.
right? And they just focus on him always scheming.
Well,
And
who else are they going to pick on? He's the pick-on guy.
To be
Yeah,
fair,
and-
he
and
did
he's
almost
the-
get the station invaded at least once up until now.
Multiple
I'm
times.
not
Yeah.
saying that there's
Major
not
multiple
reason
times.
for them
Yeah.
to cascade him. He's not a good person, but he has good qualities. But they look down upon him with this turned up nosed type of attitude that we are better than you because we've moved past money when we're not that far off from being them, worse than them.
But how many times in this 2 seasons have we seen this dude put the whole station at risk? And like,
Mhm.
I don't know if they treat Nog the same. I don't know if they treat his brother the same. I would assume they probably do because you have a point. We are, oh, that's a Ferengi and he is like this, right? But this dude has done dealings with the Dominion. So some of his money-driven behaviors also put the entirety of the station at risk.
Yeah, but we didn't know that they were bad until today.
We didn't, but we've also seen him deal with some really fucking bad, shady ass people throughout the entire 2 seasons. And some of those dealings have put multiple people at risk of death or serious bodily harm. So, like, I absolutely agree with your point. I agree that they look down on him, and that is a very human thing to do, but it's Quark we're talking about. Maybe it's not a Ferengi thing, maybe it's a Quark thing.
It's true. That's fair. But like, we all have that friend who, like, you can't trust, but you still invite them over once in a while anyway, even though you know it's going to end badly. Like every group of friends has an Emily, is what I'm trying to say.
You know what? I'm not even gonna be insulted by that.
I was gonna say Blake, but whatever.
There's Jessi with her shots.
You know what's interesting about this conversation is, like, I kind of feel that that's this whole Quark, Ferengi, how they're viewed, how they're treated thing is taking a turn. And I think it already started taking a turn at the end of the episode when Shorty was like, fuck it, he's holding us back. Like, he's a liability. We need to just leave him. He can just lay in the shrubs and we'll beam him up later. And Sisko was like, nah, we can't just leave Quark here like that. And Quark seemed to be like, oh, damn. Oh, you really do got my back. And then
Well, that was before he handed him his ass.
he kind of returned the favor when he was like, yo, Sisko, check this out. Like, Shorty lying through her teeth. And then the whole with the lock thing. And then they busted her when they got back to the station. I feel like it's taking a turn. I kind of feel, and we always know the one thing that can bring divided parties together the quickest is a common enemy, right? Well, now they got that with the Dominion. And it's not just, oh, we all don't like them, like with the Cardassians. These motherfuckers took out an Enterprise ship like it was a freaking Lego model. Like, they put boots to ass and belts to ass on that crew in like 0 to 60. And they had nothing, they had no answers for it. They were scrambling on deck. They were, change your frequency in your shields. We tried every frequency. These motherfuckers keep blasting us. It was like they couldn't do anything. They were dead in the water the second they came through that wormhole. And they know where the station is at. Like we said earlier, the Talak was there. He beamed in. They put the shield around him. He moonwalked through that bitch like he was Michael Jackson in Smooth Criminal. Came out, talked shit, and like Nicole said, it just bounced. Like, so they know if they come through that wormhole, they are not ready. Like, that DS9 could be gone in a matter of minutes if they send an army through that wormhole. Now, granted, strategically, you don't want to send everything you got because you don't know what the Federation has elsewhere and all that. But it's like right now, there's an imminent threat. If they show up today, it's curtains for DS9.
Yep.
So I think that could really be the thing that brings the whole entire station together on one common accord. It's like, yeah, I know you damn near got us all killed a couple of times, Quark, but you know, we we escaped captivity together and we got this common enemy, and now everybody can come into one and be like, we got to rise up together against this crazy lethal threat of the Dominion.
And look, he's also this guy who can find things for you, right? He has these connections that are shady, that are not necessarily connections that you would be looking for if you're trying to stay out of prison, but he has these connections that can probably help them in a situation where they might need some information or technology or someone who's willing to sabotage something for a bit of money, right? So he could come in very useful with the set of skills that he has.
I get the feeling we have that friend in our group too. We just don't.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think we've said enough about Quark and the fact that he is a multifaceted character.
I think one scene that I really liked out of this one too was when they're in Sisko's office and Dax makes the comment about Captain Keogh being rather arrogant, and Sisko's like, yeah, funny, he said the same thing about you. And then you get that interaction where they're about to take off to go search for Sisko, and the captain looks at her and goes, have you ever considered serving on a starship? No. Good. Stay here. I did like that interaction between Dax and the captain. I think that let Dax play a little bit.
I like Dax a lot.
Yeah. It's the time when I jump in and say, like, I liked the character of Captain Keogh. He was very well acted. And I know for a fact after doing a little bit of research that the actor that played Captain Keo was Alan Oppenheimer, not to be
I figured
confused
you
with
would go here.
Oppenheimer. Yeah, you knew it was coming.
Yep.
Alan Oppenheimer is a legend. He is a prolific voice actor all through the 80s and 90s. He is a prolific live action actor. He's been in freaking everything. For me personally, he is probably most notably Skeletor from He-Man and the Masters of the Universe.
He did a lot of the Filmation shows, actually.
He did a lot of Filmation shows. He actually was several characters throughout Masters of the Universe, but most notably Skeletor, Granger, Master at Arms. He also did a couple of Transformers. So everybody has heard this man's voice or seen this man in something somewhere.
Mind blown. I had no idea. Wow.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
So he worked with JMS. Is that what I'm hearing?
I'm sure at some point he probably did. Yeah. But so he came on in really one of his less common live action roles, I guess. And they had a lot of respect for him, and he actually got to shape the character that he portrayed on screen quite a bit. I think he made the case for Captain Keo kind of being like more of a military-esque, arrogant sort of guy, and had a little bit of input in what they were trying to convey with him going through the wormhole in his giant Cadillac starship and getting his ass handed to him was the gravity of the threat that they were about to face. And somebody said it a minute ago, talking about the apparent technological disparity between the Jem'Hadar ships and the Odyssey that got blown up. The fact that there isn't a technological disadvantage there, and it was not lost on Sisko, because one of his closing lines in the episode was the fact that basically, like, when they come, we need to get ready because we're not ready. Like that was the unspoken part of it.
Well, and in addition, because I recognize the voice also from the voice work. I mean, we mentioned Filmation, but he was also in Hanna-Barbera work through the Smurfs and other programs.
Scooby-Doo.
Marvel, because he did voices throughout the various X-Men shows. Also Disney doing work on Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers. DuckTales was the one where I recognized some of his voice work from. He was in DuckTales. In addition to animation, also pretty active in video game voices, working on Baldur's Gate, Soldiers of Fortune, God of War. Funny enough, with a bunch of fellow Star Trek alumni on several of those games as well.
Yeah, and he's actually been in at least 3 of the Fallout games. Like, yeah, dude's been everywhere.
Nicole.
Well, speaking of actors who were guest stars on the show, the lady who played Eris, is there a reason she looks familiar? Because I swear I've seen her face before.
Molly Hagan? Yeah.
She was on
What
a
was she
sitcom
in?
back in the 80s, wasn't she? And she looks like she's a sitcom mom or something
She
like
was
that.
in Herman's Head, if you ever
Yep.
watched that.
Yeah.
Oh, yep.
Oh, Walker.
Texas
Yeah.
Ranger?
No.
Oh.
Yeah, she was on that, I believe.
Yeah, some of
Thanks.
the other shows I've her pulled up too. Golden Girls, Seinfeld, 6 Feet Under, anyone who watched that. Bones,
I knew I've seen her face before.
Masters of Sex. She's also in the Orville.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, she's been in a lot of stuff. And Cress Williams, who played the Talak Talan Jem'Hadar, has been in quite a few things as well. This was, I think, maybe his first real acting role was the DS9 episode we just watched, but he went on to be in 13 episodes of 90210 back in the 90s.
His voice sounded familiar.
Yeah, Nash Bridges, lots of other stuff. He's got a pretty decent Hollywood career himself. I think that one of the more recent ones that I remember him being on was I think it was a CW show called Black Lightning, about a DC character. He was, I believe, the main character on that. Yeah.
Wait a minute. So the Jem'Hadar was in Black Lightning. That was the actor?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Did Oppenheimer do the Skeletor voice for the memes all over the internet too, or is that just a recreation?
That's just what all the memes are based on.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Oh my. Okay, so I had to go back and look at Cress Williams because you were talking about it and I got distracted. He was Levon Hayes in Heart of Dixie. Like, I should recognize his voice from that.
The fuck is a Heart of Dixie?
Yeah.
Don't ask. There's probably a lot of answers we don't want to get into on this show.
Yeah.
No, it's a cheesy show. It's kind of embarrassing that I've watched the whole thing more than once, actually.
I figure it's probably worth shouting out when we're talking about the Jem'Hadar. Like, obviously, you all thought they were very ugly. That was the one takeaway. But like, Their costume, their creature design, I guess we'll call it, not costume so much, is really good, I thought. You know, you
Yes.
look at a lot of the other flavor of the week aliens that appear on Star Trek, and they're like, oh, they're human, but with a goofy forehead or a goofy nose or something. And like the Jem'Hadar are pretty striking in their design.
Yeah.
It's a full workup. Like,
I think I've said it before, Mike. They have bad ears and bad hair.
yeah.
Their
Well, I
hair
mean, our
looks
girl
like
had the flat top, and you never trust a woman with a flat top. But like,
Well,
that a
that's just
life
a little
lesson?
rule that I have, you know.
Yeah, we've got Prentice waiting patiently to jump in here.
Get it, Prentice.
So a little bit of granular detail. Did you notice when they mentioned they offloaded all the family
Mm-hmm.
from the Odyssey before they went into the wormhole? That's something to note because the whole big thing about the Galaxy class starships were the fact the Federation had all the family. They said, listen, we're in a new stage of development for the Federation. We believe it's safe enough to have families on the ships with us as we go into a dangerous situation because everything can be resolved with diplomacy. So I was glad they were at least mindful enough to kind of call that out. Like, yeah, we're going to pull the families off the ship as we go into this battle situation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a good call out. Like they definitely knew. It's kind of interesting because I don't know what the tip off was for the Federation.
I mean, they showed up with the saucer still attached instead of having it off, but they did say that, and that's just going back to the first episode of TNG where they mentioned that they
wouldn't have actually been able to do a saucer separation in this episode because the model they used. So simultaneous to this, they were also starting production on Star Trek Generations. So the filming model of the Enterprise D was otherwise predisposed. So what they actually used was there was a couple episodes of Next Generation that involved the Enterprise getting blown up for various reasons. The big one being cause and effect, where it was basically caught in a loop where it blew up, every 10 minutes on screen.
Mm-hmm.
This was actually the breakaway model. The one they used for filming was the breakaway model from Cause and Effect, as well as reuse sequences from Next Generation because they could not actually use the Galaxy class filming model. The producers that were working on Generations basically said, no, go fuck yourself. You're not blowing up our toy, which they basically hot dropped the damn thing on a planet in Star Trek Generations anyway, so it didn't really matter in the end.
I guess what I was kind of getting at, and maybe you can remind me what happened in the episode that led to this, but I thought it was interesting, like what Prentice was pointing out, that they kind of expected that they were flying into a combat situation. I don't remember what the tip-off was, because they hadn't made any contact with Jake and Nog. All they knew was that somebody was missing, which happens like every other week on this show.
Well, because I think the Jem'Hadar gave him that pad.
Well, that was later, wasn't it?
No, because they came and said that he was holding them in custody or whatever they called it.
Ah, yes. Okay.
And then they went to find them.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact they tipped off, they killed the entire Bajorian colony, right? So they mentioned that. So they killed the whole planet off. So you kind of know you're going into a hot situation.
That's fair. I thought the Jem'Hadar thing happened at literally the very end of the episode. You're right. That happened before the rescue mission. So that makes total sense because that, yeah, like you said, that was a huge mic drop. Like, not only did they come in and just beam directly onto the bridge of your ship and whip it out in front of you because you couldn't do anything about it, but like, he's like, yo, we're the Dominion. Your warning is that we wiped out a whole list of ships and a whole colony of people.
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to do about that? You know?
And fuck your containment thing.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think that was like the third act. I mean, that was relatively early. So the Odyssey knew kind of like, we're going into something that's going to be a little bit.
Yeah, okay. That's fair. That makes total sense.
And even back to that thing I was saying about Dax, even the way she needled him in that conversation was, you are going to evacuate the civilians, right? I'm sure you've thought of that. You see these little pieces where Dax interacts with certain people on the show, and there's clearly history, whether it's from Jadzia or from Curzon. And this is definitely one of those, and I love the way they played that relationship of these two have had history. These two don't necessarily care for each other. All right. Anything else for the Jem'Hadar?
The only thing I had, which is completely ridiculous,
like the rest of this hasn't been,
and I'm sure you'll appreciate me bringing this up now. No, did no one ever teach Quark to stop, drop, and roll?
That's what I thought when I saw
like,
it.
having grown up and going to school in the 80s and 90s, I'm like, dude, just stop, drop, and roll. What the fuck?
I saw something that said I thought I was going to catch on fire a lot more than I actually have.
Did they still teach stop, drop, and roll in school? Like, I think about like the stuff that I had to learn versus what I know my kid is learning in school, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure they teach kids today to like whip out their iPad and pull up the like I put my ass out app.
No, now they
Like,
just do active shooter drills. They don't do
yeah,
stunt double.
exactly. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
the thing we worry about more now than fire.
We just had tornado drills where we got down on the floor with a book over our head.
They do active shooter drills, but then they tell the kids to just stay in the classroom and get under the desk.
Yeah.
Just sit and wait.
What? Yeah, just sit there and wait. Hope he doesn't come into your class, or she, or whoever.
Text mom and
doesn't come
dad
into
and
your
tell them to
classroom.
send thoughts and prayers.
No.
I saw this video of this guy who it was a kid, a teenage kid, and he was in a car, and the person in the car was they were recording him on the phone, and they were like, "So let me get this straight, like you just ran out." He's like, "Hell yeah, I ran out," and he was like, "It's so dumb. They have us do these active shooter drills, right? And they tell us to get underneath our desk, but then they just come in and just start shooting up the classroom like we got nowhere to go." He's like, "So when they did this surprise test, they didn't tell us what it says." It's like, "So we thought it was real." He's like, "I got up and he's like, I knew I could beat my teacher to the door before she could lock it." He's like, "So I got up, I ran out the door. She was screaming at me." He's like, "I bolted it straight down the hallway to the door outside." He's like, "When I got outside, I ran in zigzags. So if the shooter was trying to shoot me, I wasn't running in a straight line."
There you go,
He's
kid.
like,
You're going to make it far.
Like in
Yeah,
big,
he's like, "I bolted it for the tree line. And once I got in the tree line, I went home." He's like, I'm
big
not
Nog
playing
energy
around."
right there.
So let's go ahead and grab our questions and predictions from our newbies. Then we will go ahead and get them the hell out of here. Emily, ready to take down all our questions and predictions?
Yes, I am.
And let's start with Nicole. Questions and predictions.
I think really the only question I have is like, are the Jem'Hadar gonna like come for DS9? Like, are they gonna come after them? Or if they don't go through the wormhole, are they gonna leave them alone? Because they basically said, don't be coming over here, otherwise we're gonna fuck you up. So like, essentially, if they don't go over there, will there not be a war? Or is it coming regardless? That's kind of the biggest thing I have, the biggest question. Will we see something brew between Kira and Odo? That is a need to know. And that's really all I got.
How about Christopher, your questions and predictions?
So this starts to war. There's no doubt about it. This is war. When I saw the end of it, all I saw was Daffy Duck coming up to Bugs Bunny and going, "This means war." I want to know who is going to die, because somebody's going to die. Nog was scared, but I think we're going to see this war, and he's going to, like, something's going to happen in there, and he's going to want to be different and make a change. And so I think him and not Jake go to the academy. And that's all I have.
Chris, how about your questions and prediction?
I'm hoping, like I said, I'm hoping Odo and Kira make it happen.
Clap them cheeks.
Right?
Does he have it?
Hey man, he has the capability to tear her box out the frame. Unlike
Is she
Bird
clapping his cheeks? What are we doing? I don't know how it works.
No, come on, man.
He can transform into whatever she wants him to.
That's why I'm taking him all
I
day long.
guess. If Kira's the freak of the week, then you can give her whatever she wants. I definitely think war is coming. My question is, I'm interested to see what do Sisko, the DS9 team, and the Federation overall, what do they do to prepare for the Jem'Hadar? Because like right now, they ain't got shit for them. They got nothing for them. It's just going to be, again, it's just going to be bouts to ass if they come through that wormhole again. So I'm interested, how do they upgrade their defenses, their weapons, the station, their fleet? Like they need a whole overhaul, because they ain't got shit for them right now. So I'm interested to see what they do there. I'm interested to see, will this actually be the thing, the common enemy that brings everybody together, that kind of puts all the petty stuff and all the differences behind them. And then also, I think we also got to take a step back and look at the whole thing. The Jem'Hadar is just, from what I understand, the military arm of the Dominion, or at least like the Black Op team of the military branch of the Dominion. The Dominion is an even bigger entity, right? With a whole leadership group. So they got to have their own agenda. They got to have their own protocols, their own mission, their whole setup. Like, what does that look like? The Dominion in its entirety, how massive of a threat is this? And like, how do they boogie? How do they get down? Because it seems like they're deep in the game. on the other side of the wormhole in that Gamma Quadrant. And you know how it is when you mess with them fools from the other block, like it's a whole different world. So I'm interested to see how that goes down.
Jesse, dare I ask?
Just based off what Chris said, does the Jem'Hadar, do they listen to Chief Keef on the way through the wormhole? Are they like
They're from O Block in the Gamma Quadrant. You already know.
I don't have any questions or predictions.
Chief Keef and King Von on deck all day for the
All day.
Jem'Hadar.
Mike, you have something for the go talk.
Go.
Yeah. So this actually just was something that occurred to me a second ago. So the woman, the spy that they brought back, who ended up, getting caught in her shenanigans and delivered her warning. Y'all remember what her name was?
Eris?
Eris. So I will invite you to go read a Wikipedia about Greek mythology and figure out who Eris is. Eris is the goddess and personification of strife and discord, particularly in war.
Was her weapon of choice titty lasers?
Titty lasers.
Titty lasers. that breast beam, them titty lasers.
I just thought there was definitely a little intentional nod by the writers.
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
It's also a dwarf planet.
I don't think that's relevant.
I did have one more question that I forgot to tell Emily to write down. Do we see any more sexy Sisko? Because I need to know.
I hope so. He just showed a little bit of, I don't know what it was. It was a look or something, but it was like, wait, you weren't hot until just then.
Till that scene with Quark when he puts him out. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the chest meat.
Yeah, it was a chest meet. It went from an episode of DS9 to an episode of Black, just that quickly.
I will say I did think he was good looking from the get-go, but he flipped it on in this episode, and I was like, okay.
Glad y'all are finally
Sisko
catching on.
Applying the heat. Y'all couldn't take it.
Man.
Okay. So I think that wraps up our discussion of the season 2 finale, the Jem'Hadar. And normally when we get to the end of a season, we do a live season recap. And this is kind of one of those things, and it kind of hit again with kind of where we've been this season and everything that's happened is the one who was the tech wizard of all that and made all of those lives work was Scott. He used software to do that. He used things to do that frankly we have not figured out fully how to use. And I'm not entirely certain he did, because I don't know in 3.5 years of podcast that we ever did one where the audio fucking worked the first time out of the gate. There was always something where we had to figure out and screw with the audio. So for season 2, we are not going to be doing a live recap show. We will be doing a recap show. We are going to record a recap. We will have put out on our social medias, our Discord, and on our Patreon a call for questions that people would like us to answer during our recording of a season recap. And we will put that out and try to answer those questions, assuming they are appropriate. If they are inappropriate, we're still going to ask them. And the response you get is, well, you've heard us long enough. You know what you might get. So feel free to ask your questions, send those in to us, and we will work those into the season 2 recap that we are going to put out. And also just to comment with, as we record this, and we are not immune, and we get talked to about this all the time when we relate these shows to current events and everything going on. And I think we'd be remiss without bringing up what is currently going on, especially in the U.S. state of Minnesota, with ICE agents that are out there. And as we mentioned, reflecting on Scott and the role he played here, I think, Christopher, you for sure would agree with this, but he was infuriatingly the ray of sunshine that no matter how much we said this sucks, how much we said it has all gone to shit, he was always that infuriatingly eternal optimist that would tell us it's going to get better. And damn it if I haven't missed that in the last few days. As much as he pissed me the fuck off when he would do it.
Oh, I know, because I would be coming right to you, Blake, and telling you how wrong he is. And we were generally proven right. But to hear the optimism right now is much needed.
Yeah, it would be nice. So from those of us here at Especially the Lies, I am Blake, and with me has been
Mike.
Mike.
And Jessi.
And Mike.
3.5 years and we still can't do an intro or an outro right either.
You guys fucking killed it. Good job.
Why would we
I
start
wondered why
doing
everybody
it
kept
correctly
fucking
now?
giggling on
What the
camera.
Thank you for listening to Especially the Lies, a Deep Space Nine podcast. You can find all the places to listen to and watch this podcast by searching for Especially the Lies on your podcast app or on YouTube. We want to hear from you, so join the conversation at Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Be sure to subscribe and leave a review where you are listening to or watching this podcast. Especially the Lies is not affiliated with, and the podcast has not been prepared, approved, or licensed by Paramount or any other owners of the Star Trek copyright. All clips included in this podcast are the intellectual property of the respective copyright holders. They are included here for purposes of review, and no infringement is intended.
Why have you brought me here? Show yourselves. What do you want?
The Sisko has returned to us. He arrives with questions.
There are always questions.
Welcome back to Beyond the Rim, or Visiting with the Prophets, or whatever the hell it is we do on this show. Like I said, we're still figuring some of this out. This is the portion of the show where we have thrown our newbies back through the wormhole, and those of us who are the prophets on this show are going to discuss all of their questions and predictions and all of the fun things they have asked, possibly even make fun of them. So if you have not watched past the Jem'Hadar of Star Trek Deep Space Nine and do not want spoilers, now would be the time for you to get the hell out of here too. If you don't mind a few spoilers, stick around and let's go ahead and get started. Emily, what have we got?
Well, let's start with the hottest question that we got was, will we get more sexy Sisko?
Oh, wait till the head gets shaved.
Do they really think I watched this show for 7 seasons if he didn't get sexier? Like, come on.
Emily,
repeatedly,
let's dive in.
Have they missed me talking about watching Hawk?
They have. I don't think you really pointed it out like that. I think they did miss that.
Or Spencer for Hire, which I tolerated because he's in it. Jesus Christ, where have they been?
Wow.
I think they have underestimated your capacity for smut.
Yeah,
I
well, that's...
I totally missed it, so yeah.
Okay, but we actually did have some really good questions this go around. Let's see.
Predictions.
Yeah. Nicole and Chris want to see Odo and Kira get together.
It's coming.
I don't know where they picked up on that. I feel like they're reaching, but it's true.
There have been subtle hints.
It's there.
Okay.
Odo kind of treats her differently. Their entire dynamic is just a little bit different.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely close. I just didn't think anything was romantically tinged at this point.
More so on Odo's part, I think, than Kira's. Kira is the oblivious, oh, he's a special friend. Like, he is solid friend zoned with Kira, but he is definitely interested.
Yeah, because she's definitely one of the people that he trusts the most, and he's obviously not very trusting. And it's not surprising given the one episode where he finds out what she was actually doing on DS9 back in the day, and she was really worried about how he would react to that. So, yeah, I can see why they believe that dynamic is there, and it is very subtle.
Yeah, fair enough.
Let's see. Nicole asks, did the Jem'Hadar come for DS9?
They're going to.
Yeah.
And I love it. And they will address it in dialogue, is because everyone commented on the station's kind of a sitting duck, but when they do come, Starfleet has made some upgrades. And we're going to see them at the start of season 4 with The Way of the Warrior when Worf shows up.
Yeah.
That's the name of that episode, right? Way of the Warrior? That's season 4?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Is that the episode when the station gets the refit?
Well, because that's when the Klingons show up, and that thing is armed in that episode because it whoops some ass. It holds
Yeah.
its for a little while.
I couldn't remember when it actually happened, but yeah.
So
Okay.
during the course of season 3, it gets some upgrades. Because then when the Jem'Hadar do show up in season 5, even Wayun comments, "Damn, I didn't think the shields would hold." So they make some improvements.
Yeah.
Plus, we get the Defiant in the next episode.
Yes, we do, which I'm excited for.
Yeah.
Or for those who watch Babylon 5, this DS9 version of the White Star.
So Christopher predicts that this will star a war. Chris and Christopher.
Yep.
Yep.
Christopher asked who dies.
Dax at the end of season 6.
But not because of the war.
But not because of this.
Yeah.
Because of contract negotiations and a dickhead producer.
Uh-huh. Christopher did have a good prediction about Nog going to Starfleet Academy.
Yeah,
I'm starting to get some. Remember the vibes we had from Justin that
Yes.
he had seen this. I'm starting to get a little bit of that from Christopher.
In the Facebook group early on, there was a memorial post to Aaron Eisenberg, and they showed a picture of Nog in a Starfleet uniform. And I don't know that got pulled down in a timely fashion.
Yeah, I well believe that he has seen or heard something that tipped him off to that, and he may not even be aware of it, but
Well, and I know he's watched Discovery, and there's the ship named in honor of Aaron Eisenberg.
yeah, I don't know if you'd catch that. Maybe. Who knows, right?
He was on the damn show where Scott and I discussed it as a podcast.
It's kind of the fact that he is familiar with Trek in general, versus like Nicole's new to the whole franchise. Like I could well believe that he has picked something up through osmosis. So
yeah,
it could also be they've shown the screenshots from Starfleet Academy that have been all over the place, and there's that memorial wall, and it does list Nog on that wall, and it's been in screenshots all over.
Yeah, because you can only filter out so much of that.
Well, otherwise, banger prediction.
Yeah.
That one.
Well, and in some ways, I mean, Jake has been very adamant about not going to Starfleet, so that one's not surprising. But Nog is showing initiative to learn more human things. He is wanting to spend more time with Jake. There has been that bit of shift in personality, so it's not entirely out of line, but a little suspect for sure.
I do think that after hearing them talk about his reaction to danger and stuff in this one, I'm curious to see the rest of the group's reaction to Nog's journey through this, especially when we get to episodes like the Siege of AR 15. We get to some of those episodes when he's recovering from PTSD.
Yes.
After having his leg taken out. I mean, I cannot wait to see how they react to some of those episodes when we get later in the series.
Yeah. Chris had a really good question because he's like, war is coming, so what do they do to prepare? Because we've obviously seen that their tech is quite a bit behind.
Starfleet R&D kicks it up and they make some modifications to that son of a bitch.
All right, and we get a good little ship.
Yes.
Tough little ship.
Tough little ship.
That can shrink down. Then he asks, like, will this be the common enemy that brings some of the disparate factions together? And to a certain extent, yeah.
Eventually, yeah, because it gets the Romulans and everyone on the same side, even though they lied to do it.
It might involve a war crime or two.
Or 3.
And I mean, eventually the Cardassians do come around after they pick the wrong side to begin with, but
Russia.
Okay.
Indeed.
And he did have a really good question about the Dominion, like what's their setup, how big are they? Because he picked up on, like, you have the Jem'Hadar, who are obviously the enforcing group, and we've heard about them multiple times by now. So how big are they really? Which is a really good question, because even having watched this series, it's still kind of tough to get a true count on them.
Yeah.
The actual, like, changeling portion of it.
Here's a real question. We never see the Vorta use that psychic power again, to my knowledge, right? So that's just something that's a one-off.
Yeah, so, and Ira Stephen Barrett even commented on that they were still sort of formulating the Vorta in this. So that never really came back with the with the telekinetic powers or any of that. That was just sort of a piece. The other thing they noticed in here was every other episode, regardless of what side or what's going on, the Vorta are immediately subservient to Odo as founder. And in this one, the Vorta is not in the presence of Odo. So those are a couple pieces where they just hadn't fully fleshed that out yet. I will be curious to see what the newbies think, though, when they find out who the founders and everything are.
But would she have known that Odo was a founder at that point?
Yeah, the Dominion would have known who the founder. Yes, because the Dominion knew who the founders were, or at least the Vorta did, because the Vorta said the founders made them what they were. That gets established later.
Yeah, but I don't know if she would have recognized Odo specifically as a founder because I don't, and at least in the storylines, like I didn't know if the founders had even made that connection up at this point.
I think they had the intel. The fact that the Jem'Hadar knew about Cleons, knew about the different races of the Alpha Quadrant, I think him being a changeling is known to the founder.
Yeah.
Should have been for sure. Yeah. I can see where you're coming from because like to me, Odo's appearance is like his best attempt at emulating what a Bajoran, what his father figure scientist looked like. And so she looking at Odo would not necessarily scream like, oh, he's a changeling. So maybe she didn't know that he was the changeling, but she probably should, as you pointed out, she should have known that there was a changeling somewhere over there.
Well, on some level, most of what she was doing was an act.
Yeah.
So it could have just been her playing the role too. Like she knows exactly who he is, but they're like, he doesn't know yet because we haven't connected with him. So he doesn't know. So just like fake like you have no freaking clue to keep the role going.
It's all pretty gray. And
yeah,
somebody, I think it was Chris, mentioned it, like he wanted to know how big the Dominion really was, but everybody kind of let slide the fact that they did talk about the founders. Nobody had any predictions about about them, which I guess I'm sadly not surprised about, but I wondered if somebody would grapple that. But
yeah,
it's true. And like you said, though, Emily, we don't really ever get an exact sense of how big it is because, supposedly it's the founders and they have Vorta and they have Jem'Hadar, and you don't really see other races in the Dominion too much that I am aware of.
Well, I mean, there are the members because, like, the species that Quark was negotiating with on the Tullaberry Wine, there's other species that say they are members of the Dominion, but
yeah,
it's more or less the way it is described in some of the notes is the Vorta show up and offer you the carrot of, oh, you need warp drive, oh, you need this, you need that, and they provide it. And as long as you go along and provide what the Dominion needs, you're fine. You step out of line, the Jem'Hadar whoop your ever-loving ass. So it's more of I'm pretty sure they have cultures that are part of quote unquote the Dominion, but I think it's more in the nature of looking at how some of the former Soviet republics were technically republics, but were under.
Yeah, I feel like those groups are likely just exploited colonies. Because they get the resources.
Providing resources, yeah.
Well, and we've seen like what they did with the Cardassians. They set up basically a Vichy government that was friendly to their needs, and if it got out of line, they just took out the leader and next.
Yeah. But I do think that was a really good question because even as Eris is explaining the Dominion and mentioned the founders, she blows it off like, oh, they're just a myth. I mean, she knows good and goddamn well that they aren't, but she's just full of lies.
Yeah. Anything else from our newbies?
No, I think that covers all of it.
All right. Anyone have anything else they want to bring up with this episode?
I'm glad they liked it. And I'm glad it was the episode that they're like, oh, now we're getting somewhere and now it's interesting. I was really hoping this episode would do that for them. So I was happy to hear that.
So we will be back. Our next episode out will be our season 2 recap. Again, we are not doing that live this time, but we do hope to sort it all out and be back with live recaps by the end of season 3. But for this one, we're going to play it safe and do it as a recorded. We will be back with that. Make sure to check us out at all of our links below for our social medias. We also have the link to our Discord, to our Patreon, which will get you access to our Discord server. So make sure to check out all of those links. Like, comment, subscribe, leave us a review, and we will be back very soon with season 3, starting out with The Search, part 1 and 2. I am Blake, and with me has been
Mike.
Still doing this?
Apparently.
And Mike.
Mic drop. We're out.